Cell phones are on plane mode. Okay. Griff, you good?
I hope so.
You hit the record
I
button?
put your tea this morning, man.
Ease record button is on? Yes?
Mic's off?
Yes, he's recording. All right, cool. All right. No, we're not. All right, quiet on the set.
Shut up. Yeah, exactly.
Deep breath. Talk straight in the mics, guys. 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock.
It is? I do. Watch you use it.
You got the countdown. Minute and a half.
Holley, you can't see that A unless you pull that
Okay.
thing on the
Intro
side, just FYI.
Intro first.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's totally backwards, but it looks great.
Did y'all give my hat a sound check?
Hello. My hat said, hello, well, where am I?
Okay. Sixty seconds.
He's gonna come on with the drop, right? He's coming on with the drop.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were kind of late in the middle of the city. What the hell?
I said he knew. Had a few X's there.
Bitches.
Porsche, Mercedes. You heard about the bull that was on?
Oh,
New
yeah.
Train?
Oh, that was crazy.
That was
You were
retarded.
talking-
I'm in Broadway. He said, "Hey, did you hear about the bull on the
30
train?" I'm like,
seconds.
"No." What was on the train? Like you talking
On the tracks.
On the tracks.
On the tracks.
A bull with horns and everything. Must have got kicked off the train for no ticket. I knew it. I knew it. Only in Newark can that happen.
Cops chasing him.
15 seconds.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I do the
I
same
do that.
thing.
My wife be like, "What is the matter?"
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Is back with Mr.Excitement at Big Murph, giving you the best in legendary classic R&B, disco, freestyle, reggae, pop and rock music for your listening pleasure. Each and every Sunday afternoon from 4 p.m. until 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on H1 Rebel Radio. You dig?
All right, we're back with the instant classic right here on A Squad Rebel Radio. I am Michael, Mr. Excitement, your host, along with my co-host, the legendary Big Murph. What up, Murph?
I'm good, man. How you doing today, man?
I'm good, man. We here and we ready to roll.
Ready to roll?
And screw the Jets. They stink.
Dude, yeah, that's my team. Stop talking about them. They only uniform wearers. They're not even football players anymore.
Suck. So, you want to do the introduction?
Well, first of all, I just want to say welcome once again, everybody that's tuned in to another Sunday of legends in the building. And first of all, I want to say it's my pleasure because when you told me we was going to have Ralph Cooper II in the building, I said, no way. Then you said Amanda Holley. I said, come on, Mike, you playing with me. Stop playing with me. So I wore my hat. I wore my hat today just for them. So I just want you to know that. So when they look, they said, Murphy's got all dressed up today. No, it's just a hat.
Yeah, Ralph, he's dressed up for amateur night. That's what he's. That's
He
what
doesn't
he
say
wants
it.
to do. Amateur night.
Ralph should have brought the rock, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I would have rubbed that. That's
Absolutely.
cool. But we got the legend himself is in the building. Mr. Ralph Cooper II is in the house. Y'all know him because when you hear that name, you think about what, Mike?
His father,
And?
the Apollo.
All right. There you go. So welcome to the Instant Classic Show. It's a pleasure to meet you, to see you here with us in the studio live. He liked the studio for, you know. But the only gripe he had was we didn't have big checkers. We had the checkerboard, so that's all. So we'll work on that. But anyway, welcome to the show.
It's a pleasure, it's an honor. The show's been doing great.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
I
you.
love some of the guests, the people, seeing the friends, and some of the innovative legends that you
Right.
have.
I'm sure some of them passed through the Apollo before.
Oh, a lot of them.
Yeah.
A lot of them are personal friends.
Right.
A lot of them, you know, I've seen. Some I've been able to work with. Some
Right.
I've helped. So it's a circle of friends for
Right,
sure.
Right. And you have an extensive background, man. I was talking to Mike, he said, Murph, let me just tell you something. I said, say no more. When Mike says that, that means the list of what you have accomplished and still are accomplishing is so extensive, we don't have enough time to get into it.
I wish we did though. We
Yeah,
need
you know.
like 4.5 hours.
Yeah, because I think the fix is in, right? The Fix is in.
What's the fix?
The Fix. You know, we get a little bit of time with him so we can have him back.
Of course.
That's The Fix.
There you go. There you go. I'm with that.
And me and Ralph, we did an interview not that long ago
Okay.
at Hub Tie for the Street Funk
Okay.
Spotify, but also for our show as well. So that's going to be really great too.
Yeah.
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 So now let's get into it because you got a history, man, that dates back to how far?
Well, you know, it's crazy. My parents
Mhm.
had me and my sister late in life. My
Mm.
dad was older, my mom was younger, and a showbiz family, as you know. Mom
Right.
was a singer,
Right.
and they just happened to have us very late.
Right.
So it's strange because there are people that I worked with early in my career that are not around, and then they were generationally now cycled out, so there's a new generation in power. But they respect those people, but I'm working with that generation as well. So it's very funny because I was born at a time between generations, you know, and you get to work with the older and you work with the now and work with the new. But there is a definite line between all of them when you can look at it from 10,000 square feet.
And you know, it's funny that you say that because I'm thinking about when you start talking about the generation, you know, you worked with some who were back in the days and now you work with the young ones. What is I think the one thing that you find yourself up against when you try to get them to respect and understand how they got here?
Yeah, that's a big thing. And a lot of people want to take credit, and you know, in an age of being able to be open, you know, there was a time when you would never give out your social security, you would never give out your bank account, you would never, you were taught, you do not do that.
Right.
Now, for you to go get a Walgreens card, give me all your numbers. So it's a whole different mentality, and a lot of people want to take credit for things and don't say what the whole progression was, and then other people are very loud about certain things and may not have the full picture. And then there are other people that are very humble that literally were real architects, but they haven't yet had their love and their respect and the story been told about how they fought to get it to a level 1 so other people could play level 2, 3, 4.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's tough. So Mike, you know, Mike called me like, Murph, you know, I've interviewed Ralph Cooper before. I'm like, okay.
See, so he changed his voice.
Yeah, you know, but I mean, and that's not how he talks, but that's how it comes across to me. So I know you want to go into that. So go ahead, Mike.
No, but we had a really great interview, and I wish we had the time to even go past that. But obviously, mom and dad in the movies back in the days. Father did musical movies, and he did the gangster movies,
Right.
Gangster War.
Right.
Oh my God, he was kicking ass and taking names.
In the early days.
Absolutely.
Way before, unfortunately, there was the plethora of great urban-esque movies, you know, that you could start with, say, for some of us it started with Master P, for some it started with Lorenz Tate and the Hughes brothers, you know, for some it was Boys in the Hood, for some it was Friday. There's a generation right now that's alive that, you know, didn't know the only house party they ever saw was the new one. They don't, the older one is the older one, you know, and Friday is their dad's film and all that. But Dad was doing it way before and broke a lot of barriers early on in the 40s, where he was the man, and Variety, the trade magazine for movies and entertainment, called him Dark Gable. But his movies were playing in the black circuit. So there was a theater Chitlin circuit, there was a black movie circuit, and so those were where his movies were breaking. But you know, everybody loved a gangster. You know what I mean? And you know, Warner Brothers kind of started with gangster movies. You know, Humphrey Bogart. You know, all these kind of crazy gangster movies. So it was a powerful thematic then. It's a powerful thematic now, all the way through the generations. And there are stories to tell of modern day gangsters, and there's stories to tell of the older gangsters, and they're doing it from The Departed all the way through. You know, that was a gangster story. And so he really did it, but he also did a romantic comedy, one of the first of his day to do a romantic comedy, and that story unto itself, much like some other crazy stories at the theater, he actually was able to have a person be in the movie who was basically, we would have potentially lost that talent in show business, because she was about to go get married. And he said, no, please do this movie with me. You've already seen I've done 3, 4, 5, 10 movies. now do this one with me. I wrote it a little different. It's not a gangster story. It's a romantic comedy. And come on, I wrote it for you and I. And she said, well, I'm getting married. I am leaving my area. I am leaving show business. And he convinced her not to leave show business until she did this and do the movie and see what happened. Now, the funny thing, he did this independently, this movie. It was independently financed, but he was brought to Hollywood by the head of Fox Studios, 20th Century Fox. And his deal was at Fox, but he also did independent movies off the lot, right? With the guys that backed the original DOA with Edmund O'Brien, just to put a note for the cinephiles out there. And that's an original movie that stands up today better than the remix of that movie. But having said that, what he did with that romantic comedy was introduce the female lead to the world, and then after that movie went through the roof and was so accepted by both our audience and a general market audience, he walked that talent into Fox and said, listen, this is my friend, you all see what we just did on this romantic comedy, and they developed a movie around that talent, and that's the story of how they started Stormy Weather for Lena, for Aunt Lena.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what?
And that is Lena Horne, by the way.
That is, yes.
Hey,
that
thanks
is
for telling us,
Miss
because
Lena
I
Horne.
only know one Lena, to be honest with you. One legend Lena, anyway. But looking back at those times, you know, and for blacks and people of color in movies, you know, it was a hard time.
Yes.
You know, now how did
Still a hard time.
right.
Believe it or not.
Exactly.
I hate
It's
to
probably
say
even
that.
worse now. You know,
I hate to
because
say that.
yeah, but we knew it existed. Right now, they trying to act like it don't. You know,
Right.
So when you look back and say, okay, as a youngster, and you look and you said, my dad is breaking a barrier. You know, for people of color to be in movies. You know, how did that trickle down to you, and what effect did it have on you, positive or negative?
It was a very positive. That's a great question. Very positive effect, because I knew that he was creating images
Right.
for our people that literally were not there before.
Right.
I also knew that he was creating positive energy, not just on the screen, but behind the scenes as well.
Right.
Because he did some amazing things that we can talk about that were so powerful but are not noted.
Right.
But this is exactly how we kind of are where we are today,
Mhm.
believe it or not. Because at the time, I'll just give you one example, Michael. It was a situation where whether you were white and you were a male, you got a permanent SAG card.
Right.
If you were white and a female, or any female at all, any Asian, black, Latin, okay, or you were non-white male, for you to work at that time in SAG, you got a time card. You punched a time card in and out. The only people that had a permanent SAG card were white males. And it was Dad and a guy at local union number 1, theatrical union number 1, that changed that around so that blacks and female minorities across the board could get a permanent SAG card. So, I mean, this was a game changer in the whole foundation of Hollywood.
Right.
And it was, I would put it right up against another game changer that Dad did, where he was really the architect of stopping blackface. Because even black performers
Right.
early on were forcing to do this blackface
Right.
thing, and he kind of injected with his fellow performers the concept of, let's not do that, let's stop that, let's bring it down, and eliminate it.
Right.
And that's what happened. But it had to be a collective of the mindset of
Right.
entertainment at that time. But you know, his generation was really an amazing generation
Right.
that affected black culture, literature,
Right.
across the board.
And, you know, it's interesting because how a lot of people think blaxploitation movies saved Hollywood, but what your dad did and his, you know, his brothers, his
Yes.
sisters,
Yes.
opened the doors for the blaxploitation movies to be able to exist. You know, so
Murph,
that,
you ain't lying.
you know, so we got to give him credit for that. You know,
We definitely do. And there are some great people that were busting through at that time.
Right.
Herb Jeffries, my dad, you know, some of the great guys that put powerful images on the movie screen for us to really respond to. And there are stories now that I believe are coming out finally, thank God, like the Bass Reeves story.
Right.
Okay, I don't know if everybody knows this, but that is a great American story. Bass Reeves was the reason a writer wrote The Lone Ranger. It was all based on Bass Reeves. Bass Reeves was a human being, a real person, who was the baddest outlaw in America at that time, period, end of story. So, but when you grow up, it's like the Hidden Figures movie. You went to see Hidden Figures, you find out 3 black women saved NASA in the space program, and you come out and you go, they never taught me that in school. I didn't know about that. What's up with that? Who's Bass Reeves? Who's this one? I thought it was the Lone Ranger and Tonto. No.
Yeah, they knew George Reeves though.
Right.
Yeah, you know.
Hello, Superman.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh,
But let's hold that thought. We're gonna go to a quick video, and big shout out to our good friend Kiki Shepard.
Oh,
You know,
yeah, definitely.
To be a power legend.
Quick question. I heard rumors, I'm not sure how true it is. Kiki Shepard, the reason why she was doing this part is because they used to have the artists. So they used to have the artists do it, but Shaba couldn't get it right, so they had her do it.
Who's Percy Sutton to buy this theater and keep it alive. Ralph Cooper helped to usher in a new generation of amateurs looking to make their Apollo dreams come true. Ralph Cooper, a true Apollo legend.
Coming back.
All right, we're back with Ralph Cooper. This second, he's a legend as well.
I wanted to go back to something Murph said. It was also the black audience in America that did save the motion picture business. There was a move. What had happened was the plethora of great television, as you know, it happens in highs and lows. Now we have streaming, and it's great because you can see all these stories, and you can see stories you love, like a horror channel or a romantic channel or a Lifetime or a certain channel built for what you love: action, adventure, thriller. But you know, back in the day, it was a little tight when television broke out in the golden age of television. Nobody was going to the movies. It's a true story. And it was a black movie, an urban crossover movie that brought the people back into the theater. And that movie was Warner Brothers' movie called Superfly. The original Superfly with Ron O'Neal. That's what brought people back into theaters. Now, a lot of people don't even know that. So imagine a behemoth like Warner Brothers and all of the big movie studios, 20th Century Fox, Sony, etc., were all feeling a pinch, not because of a pandemic, but because people just decided there was a different kind of idiom to enjoy in their entertainment, and they needed something to bring them back. And guess who brought it back? Again. You know, so it's been, but if you don't know that perspective, it's an interesting perspective to learn that we've actually maybe brought people back to the movie theater, and yet we don't have enough movies to satisfy our own audience circuit today.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it goes back to us being the major consumers when it comes to buying power. We spend more money, but we have less to show for it.
Yes,
You know?
yes.
And that's sad. Now, you know, going back, and we just saw Kiki Shepard, right? That's her name, right? Okay, because she'll tell me.
You know that, man.
So anyway,
Don't act like you didn't watch Showtime and keep following. Which
Ralph
Ralph and his father produced for 12 seasons,
Right, 12 seasons.
Right.
You know,
Well, Dad wrote, you know, he wrote the TV format based on his theater show.
Right.
So he actually created Showtime, although Showtime was really a little bit of an expanded amateur night. We just had to really bring in the special guests because of the audience, you know, but the amateur night segment was something everyone loved. But then they also love seeing Jodeci, they love seeing Biz Marquee, you know, they love seeing Mary J, they love seeing all the guests.
especially in the heart of Harlem too. You know, that was.
Oh my God, they were home.
Yeah,
They
it
were
was like,
home.
wow,
Yeah.
they're back home. They go across, eat some soul food. They can put on a performance, get love from the audience,
Yes.
and feel right at home. You know,
Absolutely.
it's like they just in their living room performing. you
Yeah.
know? So, but now, let's go from, you know, your dad, and let's trickle it down to you, and how it, you know, got to where it is now.
Mhm.
You know, Ralph Cooper II. You know, because you know your dad had it. You know, he laid the groundwork, and now the mantle's passed to you.
Right.
And you pick it up, take it from there.
I really feel the responsibility too. I never, up until a certain recent time, never really felt it. I was just creating it. So I've broken some barriers, believe it or not. You know, I've done various businesses. I owned a nightclub in New York. I promoted everybody's nightclub in New York. Had a lot of friends, a lot of fun with great legendary clubs. But I was shocked that in the late 70s, early 80s, there was actually a club in New York that had not allowed blacks, Spanish, or Asians into the club. It was being run like it was and right now, when I tell you what the club is, you will laugh. But it was being run like we were back in the 40s, right? And blacks had never been in the club.
Right.
So I was the first one to break that barrier, and I felt like a vibe of my dad in a way, because we were bringing blacks into the club.
Right.
And now here I am actually helping to produce the Cotton Club, which was about the whole era of blacks not being able to get in the club unless they were the performers.
Right.
And the Cotton Club obviously is the 30s, and here I am live in living color
Right.
in the late 70s, 80s doing
Right.
the same thing. And I'm
Right.
like, well, wait a minute, what has really progressed if we could pull this off in the 70s and not allow blacks into this club? So that was a major accomplishment for me, for instance. And there have been other barrier breaking events that I've had to do that I guess when I write my autobiography or we do a speaking tour, I'll talk about it. But there's been a lot of barrier breaking events that were earth shattering. Some fun, they were great. I'm the person that brought Coca-Cola into the Apollo for their corporate sponsorship, and it's a great story. But they've been very helpful and faithful to stay with the theater and promote the theater and promote the show. But then there's other things when you get right down into the bowels of it, you really have to bleed and fight, because Murph, you said it nice. As much as we think we're all over the place in Hollywood, you know, we're really not in a way, you know? And there is a big audience out there, a consumer base, that demands that we should be almost beyond.
Exactly. Or at least further than where we are.
Well, way
Absolutely.
further. Way
Absolutely.
further.
Right.
And the funny thing is, we'll go to the movies, consume the movies, but we'll also consume, and it's proven, as you said, the popcorn and the soda that keeps the movie theater alive that they're selling you on the side.
Right.
That's us consuming that. That's
Absolutely.
us supporting the business beyond even buying the movie ticket. So it's kind of powerful, and I don't think it's reigned enough in the eyes and the minds of our young. When I say young, I'm talking about somebody that just now, who's 17, 18, drill music is their only rap. They just started. Their only riot was BLM. They don't know about the 60s or civil rights or anything like that in living through it, or why people did it. So their perspective is unfortunately having to go forward, and I'm hoping that they get educated. I'm hoping that they get the chance to know and get a motivation of why we are where we are.
Right.
Because that is a truism, as I've learned growing up.
Absolutely.
You know, you will not know your future unless you know your past.
Right, that's right. That's
Wake
why
up
it's
and
so
get some
important.
past education.
You know, 101, Past Education for Dummies. I want you to get that book.
Thank you.
Anyway,
I sure will.
And you know, it almost like is that to like a lot of people who lived through the struggle, then all of a sudden Barack Obama is the president.
Right.
You know? And that was monumental because there was a lot of people, and people don't really get this, but how people hold on for that one moment that they
Oh my
don't want to
God.
let go until it happens. And when it happens, you know, now you can release and say, I've done seen everything, and I've watched the one thing that I waited for to take place, and now I can go to rest.
Murph, you put it so eloquent. Let me say something to a young audience, my fellow young Generation Zs, the Alphas, the Millennials, the young Millennials. It was a sci-fi fantasy that a black man would be president. It was a sci-fi fantasy to the point that they made a movie called The Man, starring James Earl Jones, portraying that a black man was president in the United States, because they felt it was such a over-the-top horizon, but it maybe never happen, and if it does, it'll be 100 years down the road, that they did it that way. Okay? What do you mean? What do you mean? It's a sci-fi, or are you trying to tell me it can't be
It can't be right.
reality? That's how bad it is. But if I grew up just knowing that Barack Obama was president, I don't even know that behind me people were taught that would never happen.
Right.
They were saying it was never
Exactly.
happening. They were saying if you think you're going to be a political sociologist major and get into politics and make a change, well, you might do well in your state level, but you'll never get federal pass up to the
absolutely.
president.
Absolutely.
Oh, heck no.
Yeah.
That was a misnomer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fortunately, our young alphas, our young Gen Zs, our young millennials don't have to fight that barrier because at least that door was now opened. So now what is it that they have to do to take it to another level?
Right. And you know what's funny? We had that opportunity to do so, and everybody was talking about, oh, you know, Barack Obama is the president now. A lot of people waking up tomorrow, yeah, now my credit is good. I got good credit. Instead of pulling up your pants, tighten up your belt, and getting to work, because it could have went a lot further than it did.
Right.
You know, he got 2 terms, but what does that do for us? Because we wasn't ready for it, so
Right.
to speak. You know, we weren't ready for it.
Right.
Now, those that lasted all those years waiting for it, they were ready for it.
Right.
But it was not much they could do, but otherwise just get a sigh of relief, like.
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
real. That's
Mhm.
real. Because there are some, right, that's very real. There were people that are older than us that when, you know, President Obama went in, thought they had reached heaven because
Right.
it was nirvana
Right.
that a black man was.
Absolutely.
They had said, like you said so eloquently, all right, that's it, we hit it now.
Right.
Finally.
Yeah, you know,
It's a new
done,
day.
It's over. It's, you know,
It's a new day.
I always say, if you fight so hard for something, have a plan for after the fact.
Yes.
You know, everybody's trying to get so and so out of office. So November 3rd, November 4th, whenever election was, it's like, what was your plan after the 4th? And the 5th?
Right.
What was the plan?
Right. What was
no
the plan?
plan.
Where were you going?
Just get them out of there.
Right.
What's the plan after though?
Right.
We did
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know?
And real quick, Ralph, briefly, let's talk a little bit about the Budweiser Superfest. You being behind that.
Mhm.
Also, you had a record label associated with MCA Records, correct?
Yeah, I had a crazy time even before I signed Ice-T at Warner's and got him into the movies at New Jack City and stuff in the color soundtrack. I had this crazy time. It started as a summer job out of high school. I started in radio, and I tried like heck to leave the radio station to get to college, but the radio work kept going and going. And then when I got to college, and they go around the homeroom and they say, hey, what do you do? What's your background? And when I would say where I was, they would go, well, why are you here? Because it was so real life.
Right.
At one point, because on a Monday, we would do programming research, and the owner brought me in the back and he says, I'm sick of our kind of format. It's like dentist's office music. We're not getting any sales here. Nobody loves it. I'm gonna change the format. And I see you every morning on Monday calling your friends, talking about the clubs you went to, asking what records are selling. I think I'm gonna change the format. And I said, really? What are you gonna change it to? He said, disco. And that's how the original Disco 92 WKTU was born.
Wow.
That's where it started. And Paco, God bless him, he's a legend that has
Right.
left us. Paco was actually at Radio Hit WJIT, the AM station, and we brought him over. Afterwards, we brought in people like G. Keith Alexander, Johnny Allen. We brought in some real, Roscoe even got in there at the end, doing his 6 to 10 p.m. thing. And we were able to really promote it. So I had a really good base in radio because when I was associate PD at Disco 92, we were the first FMer to ever be WABC AM and made the highest radio rating ever, history-making numbers. Still never been beat. So I hold the belt with that.
There you go.
I got the belt with that.
Let's give you a hand clap for that. We got to give you a hand clap for that.
Thank
All the
you.
way.
I got the belt on that.
There you go.
Thank you. And it was funny because I was telling the guys over at Sony, that Paul McCartney Wings record, not disco enough. You got to remix that. Remix that. Bring
You
it
hear
back
the
to
radio
me.
voice, right? You hear the voice, right? Oh,
Yeah,
you're like, I'm digging that.
Lot of years on the air. So it was fun. And then that bled into when I felt like I'd done almost everything I could do in radio, because after I left KTO, I went to BLS, worked with Uncle Percy, was a national programming consultant. They brought Frankie back. He wrote it on White Horse in Studio 54. And here I am, a punk kid, and it's like, okay, now I gotta counter program my original station. We beat them. And then I was like, well, now what am I gonna do next in radio? Having said that, I got an offer to be in this idea that Budweiser was banking to be the number 3, 4 guy in this organization of this new idea called the Budweiser Superfest, which all that was a precursor to the festivals you see today. That's all that was, but for the first time, you would be able to stand with 20, 30, 50,000 people and enjoy 8 acts, 7 acts, 10 acts. And the top headliners were the people you really wanted to see. You know what I mean? But that concept had not really been done. And I got to learn the concert business across country because we took it to every major city that had a major stadium. So the Superdome, you know, all these places that had major cities, and that's how I learned the national concert business. You know what I mean? And I was also the one that was kind of instrumental, believe it or not, when Al Heyman came in and Budweiser was forced to kind of take it and give the concert series back to some brothers and sisters. Although the guy that had started it, believe it or not, was from Texas, and his name was Michael Rosenblatt, and it was his vision to do an urban-esque festival. And Budweiser kind of came underneath him and helped him, and God bless Budweiser for supporting it, you know what I mean? Because it gave us a lot of, it was a precursor to the festivals, but it also gave the urban and R&B and pop acts at that time a large platform that they had never had before, you know what I mean? And now they're on large stadium festival tours like their rock counterparts. They were getting it. Fleetwood Mac would sell out, you know what I'm saying? Metallica would sell out, but the brothers and sisters were getting more of the clubs and things. So we, you know, I'm very proud of that work because when we did it, it was such a groundbreaker, and never thinking, you know, 10 years later, they're gonna start this thing called festivals. You know what I mean? Never thinking we would inspire it, but you never know what you do and how it affects 10 minutes later the whole world. You know what I mean?
And creating history at the same time.
Literally.
Just hold that thought. We're gonna come back with your wonderful artist, Miss Amanda Holley. So we're gonna be right back in 2 minutes. Keep it locked right on the Instant Classic. Rob Cooper, Amanda Holley, myself, Big Murph.
What up, what up?
Beautiful. Clear. Come on, Amanda.
Radio voices and radio voices.
Right, I'm sitting over there, I'm like, I better, you know what, I'm gonna start. Oh. The radio box, I'm like,
All right.
My hair is
I
like-
love the animation. You're the shit. No, you just talk straight into the mic.
okay, you got it.
Yeah, you can put it- That was nice, that was fun.
Yes, sir.
Don't you have like a little, oh, you got your, what about that thing? She can set her phone on if she wants to.
What is he? Somebody
It's just
called
good for
him?
the BT.
Yeah.
We capture like everything.
The phone is recording right now,
Okay.
so you can't check it.
Not from that angle.
Oh, yeah, come on.
Does Touch It Class have anyone else's number?
I gave
I
them
did.
Cino's number.
They gave. He has your number. They have your number. Are they in the house or no? Okay. Copy that.
So they come in, we're gonna keep it going.
Yeah.
Copy that.
We on the air, Squad Rebel, 8 Squad. What up, what up? Already been
Okay.
I'm waiting till I get 65 to be on a popular, live broadcast.
Oh, shut up, you liar.
All right. One more minute.
I never made the Apollo.
No, we've all been in there, though.
I knew where it was, though.
As
We
patrons.
ain't there yet. We ain't there yet.
Okay.
I might be.
Just my luck is.
They've asked. I might
Got
be-
it. Right here. Yeah.
Oh, that is so cool. Look at that.
And too much money.
Ain't nothing on these cards.
There you go.
There you go. There it is. Go.
Yeah, I was trying to get us all
There you
there.
go.
All right. Well, deep breath. Talk straight to the microphone, guys.
Yes, sir.
She's a deep breath or so.
All right, we're back on the Instant Classic. 8 Squad Rebel Radio, Mr. Excitement, Big Murph, and our good friend and sister, the super ultra talented Sony recording artist, Miss Amanda Holley, who is from Newark, New Jersey originally.
Hey, represent, represent.
Absolutely. Pleasure to have you here with us.
But you know,
I'm gonna cut you off for a second. I'm sorry about doing that. I gotta say this. I'm 65 years old. I never slid in nobody's DM. I slid into Ralph's DM and Amanda's DM.
For the first time. I'm like, what am I doing?
You sent him the flyer,
I
didn't you?
sure did. I sure
Hey.
did. And so my slide into a DM was for a different reason, you know. So I sent the flyers because I'm like, nah, I got a friend that's gonna be guests. I'm like, I gotta send the flyer. No,
I was like, okay, perfect.
yeah, and then she.
I'm gonna add you right now.
There you go. And she got me. She said, and Amanda wants to follow you. I'm like, oh, okay, come on, yeah.
Blasting y'all out.
Oh my God. But Mike, I'm sorry. Go ahead, man.
No, definitely. And also, like I said, Ralph is managing you. So how did you discover Amanda? Or like, just, I'll let you tell the story.
It's a great story. You want to tell half? I'll tell half. I was introduced to Amanda by the late great legend Burt Padell. Biggie Smalls, Dash
Right. Burt Padell.
Uncle Bert.
Uncle Bert. He was such a help and a real friend to the black artists in New York. There's some great, incredible stories where he went and stopped the police from attacking rappers and all kinds of incredible behind the scenes stuff. But Amanda had a little bit of a rocky start, but then as a baby, and she'll tell that, but then literally she was being managed by a top producer for years and years and years, a multiple Grammy winning.
Like 2 years before he passed.
Yeah, 2 years. And then he passed, and Uncle Bert really said, I need you to step in, but I need somebody that could understand what we have, not abuse the situation, protect the artist, and really move the project forward in a protected way.
Right.
And that's how I came. But I'm gonna say this before you take your interview over. When she walked in and I met her, even though I'm coming from the Apollo legacy.
Right.
I felt like this is what it must have been to meet young Aretha Franklin when she first started and she walked in, because Amanda had so many attributes, qualities, and backstory of some of the great female singing legends that came through the Apollo. And they came through at a young age, but they came through with a lot of pathos, a lot of energy, some sadness, but they all came with that fire to get to that stage and let them know that that voice was in the in not only your marketplace, but in the world space. You know what I'm saying?
So everything you got from the Apollo came walking in the flesh.
It was very, very strange. And you know, I've had a great time managing great artists, helping great artists, and you know, loving doing that. And I basically said, it's such a specific job, I don't want to do it when I'm doing the movies and the other stuff and all of that. But when I met Amanda, I said, oh my God, listen, you're part of this matrix. You're so, you know, let me help, you know?
Really, really kismet. Really, really grateful that Ralph kind of stepped in, almost like an angel, in the midst of a lot of chaos and craziness. Because for me, creating art and being music and sharing music is what I am and what I'm here to do, you know? And I feel like in the climate of the industry, a lot of that gets lost, especially like for females, especially I'm biracial, I'm black and Italian, you know, especially for like women of color, females of color. And Bert kind of swooped in after Phil Ramone passed, and he was like, I have the perfect person. And it's just crazy to me to be like, I was like that little girl that would like survive on, like I had a music teacher that knew I was going through a lot of strife and stuff, and he gave me a Billie Holiday records to listen to and like send me some MP3s and stuff. And I would listen to her music just to want to be on the planet, you know, and listen to Miss Franklin, who I did get to spend some time with before she passed, which is just insane to me.
Man, that's huge. That's really huge.
Yeah. So then to have it all come kind of full circle, especially like, oh, I don't know, like, am I strong enough to be in this world? I'm coming from nothing. Like, I'm coming from a lot of craziness. Like, should I be in the industry? And then Bert brought Ralph to the picture. And I'm like, this is crazy, because his father discovered Billie Holiday. His dad put Aretha on the map, and Ralph, you know, walked in his footsteps with finding Ice-T and putting Ice-T on the map, and just breaking boundaries for artists, especially artists of color, in this world. So that was just like, I sometimes I have to think about all the stuff that's transpired and just be like, out there. Like, it's amazing to me.
You know, and it's funny because you had answered what I was going to ask. You know, a person's vision and the reality of that vision. You know, what's the difference? Because you know, we all have a vision of what something should be like, but when you get to it, what's the reality?
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
what is the reality of it? Is it the same? Do you have to, you know, struggle with what I thought it was going to be and what it actually is? You know, and being young, you know, it has to be a struggle between good and evil, which you'll say,
Oh my gosh,
I don't know if I could do this.
Mhm.
You know, how did that, you know, how did you kind of mend that?
I mean, we are definitely in some tumultuous times, and I think for myself at least, just coming into the world in a very non-conventional, very I don't want to say trauma-ridden life. Up until like literally the past couple of years, these are the first abuse-free years of my life, thanks to Ralph and the fam and my music and the people that support that, who've become my family. So I always said, like, you know, whatever happens, whatever the creator means for me to be in the world is what it's going to be. So it's always been very easy to like feel out the vibration of something and know, like, okay, this don't resonate with my purpose.
Right.
Not to take away from other people, because I love everybody, you know what I mean? And to each his own, but like, this just ain't it for me. And there's this, I'm like, friends of mine, people in the industry, like, Holley, like, you're crazy, like, Manda, like, what are you doing? Like, you know, this kind of money that you leaving millions of dollars on the table, like, because it just wasn't right, you know?
Right.
And there's times that things can happen that, you know, are things that you don't agree to, and people could be over the top, and they could be dangerous.
Right.
And especially flailing around out there
Right.
without having like a dad or somebody to check these things, you know, before you get into these situations. But I also feel like at the same time, like, kind of having those craziness like for so long made it possible for me to like navigate, even though I wasn't able to avoid all of the danger, but to get through it and keep persevering so that we can kind of be a part of this lift for others, for other artists and people in the world, kind of together. Like, that's, I don't know.
I will say that, you know, your art, you made a comment once, you know, Amanda was the fastest signing in one label at Warner Brothers, because she was first at Warner Brothers. They met her, and by the way, the signing happened in a month that nobody gets signed. Right. It was deep in fourth quarter in December, now. Yeah. And one meeting, everybody in the company came into the room, and she got signed in that day. It's the only artist ever at that label that got signed in one day. And it was mostly because she connected her spirituality and her creativity connected with all the executives, and they understood, you know. And she made a comment recently that if she hadn't gone through the traumas and the ups and downs, could she write the songs that she's writing now and telling these stories that are really powerful? And as the next year, 2 years come out with songs, you're going to see some songs that I think are not only going to chart even bigger than other songs she's had that charted, but they're going to be anthemic songs that live forever. Right. Because they're so powerful about living in this time tumultuously, but making it through. Right. And they're universal issues that are not going away and changing, but need to be brought to light. So it's a very, but that's such a.
It's always the ones I don't want no one to hear.
Well, becomes the big hits, right? And it's funny. I'm glad you said, because when you talk about the signing and the aura and the energy, I felt that when he was talking, he touched on, and it must be the energy all around, because, and just listening to you, I welled up. Just listening to your story, because I love sitting down and talking, because everybody asks, well, how did you get started? What did you do? You know, what is it like and all that? And you know, it's the regular stuff, but sometimes an artist needs to tell their story, because there's somebody watching right now who feel like you do, but don't know how to get through that.
I had a chill when you said that.
You know,
it's true, really. And it was those artists that I would see that would literally kept me alive and kept me on the path and kept me from getting into stuff way worse than stuff that I'd experienced. And my whole thing was like, if I can get to a space where I could be there for one person through the song, through the story, like whatever it is, like, I mean, we're gonna save most of it for the biopics.
Oh, good. Okay.
Right. Well, definitely. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
But that is my mission in this world, and I'd be so thankful just to be able to do that.
Well, you got big brothers here too now. So
I
you
know.
just let you know that right off the bat. The world, you'll know it. That's our little sister. You mess with her, it's a wrap. And I say that.
Thank you.
I mean it.
I love you all so much.
We love you too. It got me when you they said, Amanda, honey, what the follow you? I'm like, whose phone is this? I'm like, what? I'm waiting for Ralph though. I'm waiting for Ralph.
He don't even got. He don't even have. Listen,
so
we gotta make Ralph a IG. We gotta do.
Oh, we gotta.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
He won't get on there because he
No,
just he don't want
have
nobody
to.
blowing him up.
We
you know.
have to. I hate to say this, when you're way out there creating the
Right.
fire, it's so unbelievably overwhelming.
Right.
And you got to be concerned with so much that sometimes at this point, because now, like I said earlier, I feel the responsibility to get these stories out, tell them right, make sure history doesn't, So it's kind of overwhelming, and you don't have the time to really step back and do things like this, which is such an important part to share it with your friends and your family and your family, and to give that energy for both explaining things, educating and telling about the past, but then also inspiring the future.
Right.
And that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
So I'm bad at it. I got to be better at it. Unfortunately, a lot of my communication now is going to be on the screen where I'm getting a story made to tell one. You know what I mean? And I'm trying to break barriers too as we are moving.
Absolutely.
Towards the next 20, 25, 26, 27, 20, 2030. But it's an amazing fight because it's a fight that's been going on forever.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? The years have changed, but the fight remains.
And it's getting worse. Getting worse because we have less people to help fight.
Well, that is a very nerve-wracking thing, and I think like one of Amanda's songs, two of Amanda's songs coming up next year really speak to that. But yeah, we are living in an age where there's less of our social prophets, there's less of our prophets that are fighting for social change as a platform, and with that being pulled back or not happening, you don't have that as a voice in the marketplace. So you're just missing that energy, which is a very, very dangerous thing.
Absolutely. Who are some of your influences in music? I mean, growing up, you looked at somebody and said, wow, and then when you met them, you was like, even more incredible.
Well, I think Aretha must take the cake for me, because to be able to grow up listening to Miss Franklin, I was that weird kid, like all my friends is like Riri and everything. I love all that music. I love Beyonce. I love everybody. But for me, like the people that fed my soul was like the traditional soul R&B singers. So Mariah and Whitney and Aretha. But even going back to Billie and Miss Lena, Miss Lena was like a big one for me because she, was like kind of my complexion, being biracial, breaking barriers at the time. And also, of course, Ella Fitzgerald. She just being incredible as she is. Now the crazy thing is, I had already kind of been immersed in that, and also had like a family history in music. Although my family was very a lot of tumultuousness, but the music thing was a constant for us. So when I finally meet my father, and I find out that he wrote for Sarah Vaughan, and I meet my dad in like elementary school, find out that he wrote this music, and it explained why I was composing and stuff. And I've been singing and playing violin from 2.5, but singing before I could talk, then violin, then keyboards, just because I was writing. Her mom is a concert cellist, and she had a lot going on for herself, but she did go to one of the most prestigious schools in the world for concertcello on a free full scholarship. And was a genius, played in orchestra pits and stuff like that. And I meet my dad. I find out that I'm black, which is just crazy. Like, I was like, this explains a lot now. Okay, thank you.
Mike, your mirror tell you that every day, don't you? All right.
I was like, okay, thank you. and then eventually meet his sister, who happened to go to Juilliard and discover Stephanie Mills, wrote for her, co-managed her, got her in the Wiz, but also like came up against a lot of obstacles. My daddy, I only met my dad a few times, and then we reunited on his deathbed, and he's no longer here, right? But being in that mental stuff and drug abuse and all that, his rights were just taken from him. So his name's on the records. But back in the day, I guess 70s, 80s, like a lot of times there was black composers that did not get their credits. So that's like a whole thing. I actually have to go through that and like, you know, kind of right that wrong. But it's very emotional too, you know. But it's been in my family history for so long that like it's so easy. Like my auntie would expose me to like so many different pieces. That was the one thing she could do, was expose me to that music, and I'm forever thankful to her for that. And she's still on and popping. She's just older now and kind of took that, you know, right to chill out and just throw parties. No. Upper West Side.
Party, I'm going.
Yeah, she's throwing down on the Upper West Side.
I'm there.
But you know, Amanda, like, when did you realize that you can sing in 5-octave range? That's not like normal.
That's
Because
crazy.
a lot of singers can't do that.
That was crazy.
With control and full volume.
Breath control, the whole nine.
Yeah,
That's it. It's
it's
incredible.
crazy. And it's crazy to hear
It has
her
to
jump.
flow.
Yeah.
Thank y'all. It was actually, I'd already been like singing for crowds of people just from my music teacher at school, finding and having me do this thing at the town this, town that, church this, church that, and then finally the orchestra pits. My mom's and I, we didn't have money to like get a babysitter, so a lot of times I would sit in the orchestra pit with my mom. And I would see the same show like over and over and over again. And the musical theater director for all the kids stuff was like, oh, this little girl got a voice. And it was a little bit weird because like I couldn't do any of the little white kid, you know, because I'm this girl with the 3C hair, like, you know, and especially right then was like nobody really knew what to do with us mixed girls and stuff. But I had already been out and about singing quite a bit, so I thought, oh, I'm a singer. Like I'm doing the State Theater. I'm here. I'm popping up in New York. Like I'm, you know.
Carnegie Hall.
Oh, did end up at Carnegie. That's recent. That's a crazy story. And just to kind of with the whole octave range thing, when I met my auntie, she was like, you know, I want to go to the piano with you, and I want to show you some stuff that's in our family. And so my auntie has a crazy range. So I think it was in the blood, but I didn't fully know. I just knew like every now and then I'd be listening to some Mariah this or some Ripperton or whatever, and I'm just singing along. I just thought it was just a normal thing. So she's the one that let me know, and then it was like 5 minutes at the piano, and then I'm like, oh, that's kind of dope. Okay, so I could do okay. And I was very thankful that she was able to give me the time like that. But Carnegie, yeah, that was a couple of years ago. Ended up getting to play and sing my own song that I wrote at Carnegie Hall under musical director Myron McKinley. He's the MD for Earth, Wind and Fire.
I saw that.
It was crazy.
And you work with Dennis Doc Williams also.
Dennis Doc Williams. That's another thing that was just crazy. Like, could you
OJs.
imagine? So.
I know who that is.
My parents met in a very unconventional way and ended up homeless together in the streets. And then they're not together, you know, they split. And I'm in this like moving around, you know, lots of stuff. And then all of a sudden I meet my dad. And then I meet my auntie. And then she introduces me to Dennis Doc Williams. Like immediately. Like within an hour he was at the apartment, like, oh, this little girl's trouble. Because first day I met my auntie, we went to the piano. That was the first thing we did. First minute, I knocked on her door. I said, I'm Amanda. I'm a singer. I had to let her know. You know. All 3 foot tall Holley is like stuck walking through. Oh yeah. And so she is like, let's sing a song. And I say, oh, I want to sing this song for my dad. Maybe he'll want to see me if I sing him this song. Let's record it. And that's what we did. And she cried. I cried. And then she calls up Doc. Doc comes right over.
Wow, that's, oh my God.
It's just like
Right.
it's crazy to me. It's
You
crazy.
really born into this, for real. You
Yeah,
really
and
born
it's a
into
long
this.
generational thing too, because even my mom with her music, no one else in her family got to make music for a living. Being Italian, they was in the construction thing, and my mom and my dad, I guess, literally they're both out of it, but that music thing, because he loves strings, being a soul musician, singer, songwriter.
Right.
You know, when you hear them string lines, and then like she loves his soul, and he's singing, you know, all these beautiful. He's modulating all over the place, and
Wow.
like I guess that's what's brought them together, and
Right.
that fusion. I came out of that, so I feel a big like responsibility too to the family. But everyone in the Hollies can sing. All my uncles were in a doo-wop group back in the day called the Mellow Gents on Warner Brothers.
Mellow-
Warner
oh.
Brothers, yeah.
Murph, you know.
So
I'm a
Sandy
wrestler.
Holley,
Oh.
Yeah, I'm a wrestler.
Sandy Holley, and my uncle Larry Holley, they were both in that group. They never got a dime. They toured. They're in the pictures.
A lot of them, like back in those days with the Rare Soul, and that they never got compensated for their
Yeah.
time. Never.
And they were writers and performers.
Absolutely.
And that's the
Absolutely.
thing too. The Holley family is originally from Virginia, freed slave family.
Right.
My great grandpa and great uncle were both freed slaves. One became a professor, and one became a doctor. And my grandpa actually had to move all my uncles up from the South before my daddy was born, because there was like lynchings going on in the neighborhood.
Right.
Meanwhile, everybody can sing. Even my nana could sing and play the piano. You know, so it's I don't even know. It's a lot. It's a lot of.
You have a lot to be able to create from, you know, and to best tell that story with all the turmoil going on, and now you're here. It's like now it's a lot easier to be able to tell the story, not get as emotionally drained as you would have been if you had not talked to your relatives. You
I
know?
think so, because I had a lot of extreme racism, even as a little girl, from like 5 or a whole like decade of my childhood, in my own home, and community, just for being black, like just for the color of my skin, from the people that are supposed to love you the most.
Right, unconditionally.
So
yeah.
even though I know that my brothers and sisters, like some of us have it a lot harder because we read a little bit more color than I do, maybe.
Right.
But I know the feeling, because I mean, when you're getting that from your own family, like, I mean, it's one thing when you go home to somebody that's looks like you and they love you.
Right.
It's another thing when you're out in the world and they hate on you,
Yeah.
and then you come home and they hate on you. So I understand the feeling, and I need to stop it. I need to be a part of, like,
Right.
even if I could contribute in a, like 1/100th to help change things. That's what I have to do, and that's also why I have to stand by my convictions, and as a female too, because I
Well,
want
it's
to
a
have that positive shift.
May I also say it's one of the roughest businesses in the music industry. A lot of people that we love today, and thank goodness we have, you know, again, there's a change over there, you know. You have greats and legendary people in that space, from Kendall Minter, who just passed, God bless him, to, you know, Norby Walters, who booked a lot of the great black artists and helped them tour. But you also have a plethora of great female rappers coming out now that you, when you sit with them, you're shocked to find out this is not their first record.
Right.
They've been grinding
Right.
hard for years. So although, and I don't want to say any names because it's up to them to tell their origin
Exactly.
story,
Right, exactly.
and they will, and they have.
Right.
But you'll be shocked to find out that they had to go through a lot of groundswell work for years before they are who they are today. It didn't just happen real fast for everyone.
Right.
God bless all those that it
Yeah,
did.
it did,
Like
right.
Ice Spice, God bless her.
Right.
Right? I'm with that. I'm with that all day.
You gotta have people watching your back. You gotta
Absolutely.
have
But
that.
yeah, it's about a team.
If you come in from nowhere, it's a lot different, and there's a lot of predatory behavior.
Of course.
There's stuff where I couldn't escape from, and I'll leave it at that. There's
Right.
stuff where I had to walk from my dreams over and over again, and it shouldn't be that way.
No, not at all.
You know, but I feel like
We talk about that a lot too. Talk about
Yeah.
that, you know, how this business can take, you know, like child stars, and then you hear their story after the fact, you're like, wow.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's the whole wow factor, and I
Mhm.
know, you know, and without really going deep into it, because everybody's like, well, you know, it's not really like that, but until you experience or talk to somebody who has, And a lot of people don't believe the story, and the hardest thing in the world is to listen to somebody who's lived it and trying to tell it. It sounds like you're babbling.
Right.
You know, because you got so much going on in your mind and you're trying to articulate it. And the people you're telling it to don't want to believe you because you sound crazy.
Right.
You know, and that's the sad part. Nobody wants to listen, but everybody wants to, well, you know, she needs to get her meds, or he get, and it's so crazy because that's the first thing they want to do. Let's take him in and get him, you know, some psychiatric treatment.
Yeah.
They don't
you know?
understand the
Right.
stuff that goes on. I think like a lot of times the things that I had to turn away from where it was really painful. But had I gone in that system, like
You wouldn't be here.
I would be, I don't want to, no
Right.
disrespect to Miss Houston, who's my absolute favorite, but I maybe would have ended up like that already, you know, and I understand why artists go through that emotion.
And when you look back, I mean, I don't mind outing it, but when you look back at a lot of what people did, you think of the greats of today, how they really had a rough time, you know? And I'm not saying anybody was wrong or evil, we're not gonna point fingers, even if you know, but I will say, you know, poor Whitney, you know, even Mariah went through something that was very powerful. She had a marriage, she came out of that marriage, she had another, you know, there's a lot of scars. It wasn't just a rocket ride to the top, simplistically. And the other side of that same coin is, if you're Amanda or you're Mariah Carey, where are you supposed to be?
Right.
You wake up every day going, I'm a singer, I'm supposed to be at a record label.
Right.
That's where,
Right.
I'm not a plumber, an electrician, I'm not a construction person, I'm
Right.
not a CEO,
Right.
except of my own songs and my own career. So where am I supposed to be? At a record label. So if you put your heart and soul into that, and then you find you have to fight within your own industry
When
on
music
levels
is
you don't
the
even
one,
think about.
like the safest place in the world, and then the surroundings of that don't exactly support that.
Right.
That's when it gets a little bit crazy, but it's been an interesting journey, and I'm very thankful, and it's been pretty miraculous too. Like even to get the Grammy ballot this year.
Right.
And
Congratulations on that. Yeah, you know, you get hand claps for that. I don't
Hard
know. You
work.
gotta get those. You gotta get those. You know.
But thank you.
And Big Gas Face and Tommy Boy Records.
Y'all
blew it.
We need a
See
gas
ya.
face. You know, God.
I wish that was the craziest of it, but it y'all would not believe it. And we'll save it for later.
Yeah, that biopic is going to be interesting because, you know, it gives you an opportunity to tell your story. And this is why I love the interview today, because a lot of people are watching this, and a lot of people just look at you and say, "Oh my gosh, she's so great," but don't know where the greatness come from and the battles you had to fight in order to at least get to a role where you can be great. You know, but
everybody's going through it
yeah,
too, in a
some
different way,
right.
you know.
And there's other things coming out that
Right.
we all, you know, that we all see. We
Right.
see the allegations
Right.
coming out.
Right.
It's been a pretty triggering too, just because I've survived pretty much all of this kind of stuff. So
Right, right.
as a female, like I just want to be like, you know,
Yeah.
and it ain't my time yet,
Right.
but to actually be able to support people just through a song even,
Right,
or just
right.
being real
Yeah.
like we are right now. So I appreciate it.
The
And I
greatest
love
place
y'all.
to come from is the soul and the heart, and that's why when I'm on the air, I always tell people, I say the best way to deliver the music is from the heart.
Right.
You
Amen.
know, and to listen to you, and like I said, you know, I make no apologies for my passion for the music and for the people that do the music. So if you see me get misty-eyed, that's me. I make no
Right.
apologies about it. And to listen to you and hear your story, you know, I'm hurt because of how the powers that be put so many people who have the talent through the struggle, but they benefit from it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know,
That's the craziness.
Right.
That's the craziness to me.
It's so sad.
I appreciate and I agree, and that's the thing that I think that is naturally, like, the public is kind of demanding a shift though, which is kind of, because like now it's kind of blown back on them,
Right.
because they can't hide from it no more. Like the
Right,
public
right.
is like, no, but this is like the truth right here. We want more of this.
Right.
Like you can't really get away from that. Like,
And real quick to the producers, is Such a Class here yet?
Yes.
Okay, they are here. Okay. So give all your social media information out.
I'm at Listen to Amanda on IG,
Right.
Instagram, at Listen to Amanda spelled out. Amanda Holley, Holley. and listen to Amanda.com and wherever else too.
Spotify.
Thank you. Yeah.
All over
Yeah,
the place.
yeah.
And when is the album coming out? I know it's coming out shortly.
We're releasing one single at a time.
Ride or Die.
All a part of the.
I love the video.
Right.
Thank you. Oh, thank you, Michael.
Well, you know,
That
it's gonna
was
be
even a good
on
journey.
Classic Soul 175. I'm
Oh,
playing it.
thank you.
But see, I got a chance to see you at drama.
Yeah.
You murdered it.
Thank you.
Like
I'm so
Phenom
glad you guys were there. Oh, we're so excited about re-releasing Phenom through the Sony platform. So we're pretty
Doesn't that
excited about
sound great? Sony.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Yeah, it's pretty
It
amazing.
sounds a lot better than the other one.
Oh my god.
What,
I'm out.
Ask the Force MDs about that.
we gotta get Ralph Cooper social media.
Stetsasonic?
Yeah. Oh my God.
Stetsasonic?
He
Oh my
hides.
God.
He is Ralph Cooper the second. Don't look at them juniors because there's a lot of people
Right,
trying to
right,
pretend
right.
to be Ralph.
That's right, right.
They
Second
be
is
like
cold.
posing like
That's
that.
why I say the second.
Thank you.
That's why I say the second.
Number 2.
Right.
Roman
number 2.
numeral.
That's right. You know.
They be trying to look like him to show up in a
Oh,
Google
that's
search.
funny.
It is crazy.
You should have seen Mike try to do that. Mike tried to look like. I said, come
Yeah,
on, Mike.
come
I know
on,
it's
man.
you.
I wish he still has his hair. Oh my God, the curly hair. My Lord.
Uh-huh.
But
Listen, if I go back to the theater, because we're going to celebrate the fact that it's like 90 years since Dad invented Amateur Night. If I go back to the theater to host any of the shows and want you all there backstage, with
Oh
me,
my God.
come on, because it'll be a lot of fun. It'll be probably for next season.
Oh. yes.
DJ Miller Mike Kite can be the new Sandman Sims.
There you go.
Oh,
He
my
got the
God, yeah.
complexion,
Yeah.
and he got the footwork.
And he got the footwork. That's the footwork.
Let me see some
That'd be
footwork.
hot. Exactly.
You know?
So, real quick, we're
Right.
gonna go to Amanda video
Okay.
from the other company.
Okay.
And we'll be right back with the legendary Touch of Class.
All right.
On the
Wow.
Instant Classic.
Yay.
They're
Thank
gonna
y'all.
be in the
Love you.
building. Love you too. Oh my God.
Right.
That was
Aw.
great.
Not enough.
I didn't know they was here. I didn't
That's
know-
awesome. That's a
Listen,
great
kid.
segue.
That was
great. That was fucking awesome.
Oh my God, I love that.
Ralph, you're the shit,
I'm
man.
happy.
Stop cursing this motherfucker!
Okay, fuck some
That
shit.
was great.
Now you can curse.
I love that.
You know what I
animation,
said?
bro.
Stop cursing this
Yo,
motherfucker!
that was
I'm
incredible.
trying not to curse, but I'm around him.
That was dope.
Got me
Got me sound like Tommy
I
from
knew I
Go
wanted
Back
to
for a
go.
reason.
Great interview.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Oh my goodness.
Hey, Rich, you videotaping, right?
Huh?
Videotaping, right?
You got the cameras coming
Yeah,
up? I need a drop for you too.
No problem.
You can do it right here.
Somebody got a camera.
No problem.
We got
What to say, and I got you.
Yeah, just let me know what
Just
you say.
introduce yourself and you're 8 Squad Rebel Radio.
Amanda Holley, Sony Orchard.
That's too
I
long.
had to.
Yeah, we got all
I had
of
to.
them.
it's a learning experience.
I had to.
You ready?
Yeah, it's a
One.
Good now.
2.
Jim Murphy got to- I know,
Wait,
right?
should I sit?
You can't, hold on.
Sorry.
Let me get
Bring them in.
Okay, you ready? 1, 2, go.
What up, you listening to, or you're watching?
Listening, watching, no
Okay.
matter. 8 Squad Rebel Radio. 1, 2, go.
Hey, what's up? I'm Amanda Holley, and you are listening to 8 Squad Rebel. Yeah, I'm watching.
8 Squad Rebel
Okay.
Radio. 1, 2, 3.
Hey, it's Amanda Holley, and you are watching 8 Squad Rebel Radio. I love y'all.
Beautiful.
We did the audio drops.
Bring them in. Bring them
We
in.
did the audio drops before, so.
Right there.
Okay, good. No, over here.
Come on, you guys talk about my.
You do raps?
Yeah, let me. I'm gonna
Wait, we gotta get the
Yeah, we're gonna go over there. We're gonna go. Go back there. Go back there.
No, we gotta get the guys in.
Wait,
We gotta
wait,
get the
wait,
guys
yeah,
in.
yeah.
Quick.
We gotta get the guys in.
Hi, I'm Ralph Cooper II. Join me and my fam. Join me all the time on 8 Squad Rebel Radio. 8 Squad Rebel Radio. That's
Okay.
Well, let me see.
Okay.
Make sure we don't need.
Let's go. Let's go. Get him.
You moving a lot.
Sorry.
Okay, that was good.
That's what you like.
You guys getting set. I need to get these guys blocked off.
That's cute. Oh, sorry.
That's you. Let me finish it. Then you can do what you want.
Thank you. Thank
I
you.
wanna take more.
Thank you so much, man. It's a pleasure.
We'll
Wow.
do part 2 whenever you want.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
No, that's going to take place.
We need more.
Thank you so much.
Amanda, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're the best. No problem. Oh my God. You know, like I said,
Thank you,
we in your
guys.
corner. So
Thank
whatever you need.
Come on in, guys.
Come on.
need your number.
Rush, I need that chair.
Great seeing you.
Swivel chair.
Classic.
One of those chairs.
Great.
Come on in.
Love you. Thank you. Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I know you guys, man. I got Pete and Gerald in the house. What up, man? Trying to see you, man.